My name is Jeremy Glowacki. I'm executive editor of a new magazine called Residential Tech Today. I used to be with Residential Systems magazine. Things changed. In between the magazines, I was contacted by Richard about following up on an article we'd written on blockchain. I wasn't an expert. I'm not an expert now, but I've looked into it a lot more. I've read a lot. I've listened to a lot of podcasts. I've watched some TED Talks, and I'd like to give you a little insight into it without really doing the deep technical dive, because that's not my thing, and it's going to bore you to tears if I go too deep into it, and I'll just get in over my head. So what I want to do is bigger themes. I finally, I kind of got to the point where I understood the basics of what blockchain was, and it was not something that I felt like I could talk about for 15 minutes and make it interesting. So I looked for a bigger theme. And the context that I found was about the idea of trust and how blockchain creates trust in commerce. So what I mean by that is that blockchain enables, and I'll get into a little more of the detail of what blockchain does, and for those of you that don't really know it, but what it does is it secures transactions. And it makes it so that transactions in commerce are more trusted. And as you know, that's what commerce is all about, is that creating that trust between the buyer and seller. Whether you're buying a home, you're selling a car, buying a used car, you want to know that everything about that home or car that you're buying is accurate. And even the tech you install in your clients' homes, they want to know that what you're doing is going to be secure and safe. So before I kind of get into how trust and blockchain are further intertwined, I'll do the blockchain for dummies kind of explanation, the deepest dive that I can do. Obviously, we all know about the cryptocurrency Bitcoin, and blockchain is the basis of Bitcoin, but they're not the same. Calling Bitcoin blockchain is like calling So Bitcoin is to blockchain what email is to the internet. That's how it was explained to me. So it's an application on top of a larger technology. That's how Bitcoin and blockchain are intertwined. It's essentially a decentralized database that stores a registry of transactions over a peer-to-peer network. Does everybody get that kind of gobbledygook of words? It's taken me a long time to actually get that in my head. So it's a decentralized database that stores a registry of transactions over a peer-to-peer network. You're talking about specific industries are starting to develop blockchains. Pharmaceutical industries, produce business, healthcare, anywhere that records are kept and transactions are recorded, blockchain is an opportunity for improving that trust level, the accuracy of the supply chain and everything that's involved in those industries. Every record that's written on a blockchain has a unique key that is unhackable through cryptology. Every record is written and stamped by a trusted party and who wrote that record. And when the next record is written, it's attached to the first record. And that goes on and on and on, and it's interconnected, and there's a formula that makes sure that if there's any sort of shenanigans with that, any alterations that aren't approved in the blockchain, you're able to see that through the formula, and it's basically not allowed in the blockchain. So you can see as I'm getting into it, I'm getting in over my head, but you can understand that there's a chain of transactions and they all need to be approved by the collective that's involved in it. So if someone tries to remove something, this algorithm will show that it's tampered with. What does this accomplish? It's back to that theme of trust, and in society, trust is eroding in a lot of ways. And the trust in commerce is also one of these things that is difficult to, trust is eroding there as well. I mean, you think about internet security issues, you think of the fear that we have with online transactions being secure, and even things like the convenience of ride shares and Airbnbs, you're really trusting with your gut more than anything concrete that these opportunities are safe and secure. Even think about things where blockchain is starting to be applied, like the produce business. I think it was Walmart recently came out with a plan to have a blockchain to track their produce so that if there's ever an outbreak of E. coli or anything like that, they can track back where that occurred and pull a specific batch as opposed to everything off the shelves. So another idea was, this is something that's in the proposal stage, but you have a USDA sticker on a piece of produce that says it's certified organic. If you have an allergy to a pesticide or any kind of a chemical that might be on that fruit, you have to trust that that little sticker actually means something. And that could be true, could maybe not be true. Yet if you had a QR code on it that was connected to a blockchain, you could actually, at that store, trace back every step of the process so that you're putting more trust in the produce. So we're trusting with our gut more than anything that our houses and cars and all these transactions are not being tampered with, or there are no errors in the records. There's so much that is unproven there that a whole other industry had to come along as an intermediary in all of these different transactions. So you think of DMVs and mortgage title companies and credit agencies. They exist because we don't trust the ledgers that we have. So blockchain has the potential to replace that layer by moving away from a slow, not always accurate intermediary to a trusted, immediately recordable, easily available resource. Essentially, I wasn't sure how much blockchain was really going to affect things, and as I went into this sort of trust theme, I realized that it does have a potential great impact on our society. Specifically to our industry, it remains to be seen, but I've heard it compared to things as big as the printing press and the internal combustion engine and the internet and the ability to make change in our society. You can't really predict exactly how blockchain is going to be applied to various industries and ours in particular. But after everything that I've read, I'm very confident that it will have an effect. It will be a very drastic change, and it's just a matter of being ready for it, doing your own research, finding ways that it'll affect your supply chains in our industry, your commerce in our industry. There's still a lot left to learn. I've only scratched the surface clearly, but you'll just have to trust me that this is something in the future. So, thank you for your time.